Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this case study. Today, I have a very, very special guest, Mikki from AppleSeeds Foundation. Mikki, I would love for you to present yourself.
Hi, Chemi. Thank you so much for inviting me to this case study. So I'm Mikki Kowal. I'm the technical product manager at AppleSeeds. I'm in charge of all of our products, all of our technical projects, and most importantly, the automated workflows for our customer journey. Thank you for having me.
Amazing. Thank you for coming. So I would like to ask you, the first thing is, how was it before we met in the foundation? What was the first need? Why did you came to us for help?
Okay, so I need to give a little bit of a background about what AppleSeeds is, our main offering, so I can explain like what the problem was and why we came. So the AppleSeeds' main offering are technical boot camps that help people from underprivileged communities get into high tech. If that's full stack, AWS, SOC, CCNA, security. And basically, the customer journey is very complex, from the registration, the webinars, the tests to see if you can enroll, the learning itself, and also helping them get the job at the very end. So there's a lot of touch points with the customer, and we're a nonprofit. We have to be very, very smart with our resources. And the automations really were the best way for us to hit all of those touch points in a way that minimized the manual workload from our end, but also made sure that we didn't sacrifice the quality of how we were reaching out to our customers, so we can make sure that they got the most personalized experience possible. They received the right message at the right time. They received the right support at the right time, and that would be able to scale as well. We use Airtable as our system to manage everything. Airtable's API is one of the best, and that's why we decided to use it. So that's the background in terms of the problem. So basically, all of our courses were in different databases, and we needed to have a way that we could manage all of our data in one place, but for it to be separated at the same time, which isn't so simple because Airtable's biggest limitation is not being able to do bi-directional syncing. And what I mean by that is that if I make a change in the main database, I want to see it in all three of them, and vice versa. So we didn't. That was a very big problem for workflow purposes and also for data insights. And we really needed to find someone who could tackle that problem. It's a very, very weird problem, as we first discussed when we met for the first time. But Rise were able to tackle it. You guys were able to tackle it perfectly. You knew the right solution, and we had to go through a lot of testing. But right now we're in a really, really good space. Because it's
amazing. That's good to hear. So how long did you deal with the problem before we started solving it, basically?
So we worked on it for around 2 months. What I had tried doing and what I was successful in doing was our previous automation specialist. We found a free integration between Airtable and Power BI, which would allow us to, be able to view the data properly. But before you view data correctly, the data actually has to be cleaned. It actually has to be organized in a way that makes sense. So that was a step in the right direction, a good stepping stone, but it just wasn't enough. Our automation specialist was leaving at the time. So we need to find someone who could switch them, not just with projects, but also operational needs, any bugs that came up, any tiny things here or there we had to do, any last minute changes. And that's something that a lot of other agencies just weren't able to do. They're able to do projects, but not any long-term commitments. And everyone has different needs and different availability. There were a lot of reasons I went with you, but I'd say that was probably the biggest, what's called one of the biggest decision-making points. Many times when you fix something, you kind of have to make a mess of everything else. So I had to tell my organization, we are making this big fix. It's going to change everything. I need you to have some patience. And there's some automations that we were using previously that we can't use now because we have things that are moving into production. We just need you to wait. So it was not so simple from their end. But once the bases were all connected and we were able to really control all the data from different points, it made things so much easier. We're able to make bulk changes to every course in just one click. Everything was reflected in different places, and it really just made it so much easier for everyone. Because the biggest challenge, it wasn't just, we didn't want to do everything from scratch. That'd be silly. We inherited a system from our previous automation specialist, and it was created very well, but we needed to optimize it in a way that it's very fragile, because how do you take something that exists, that's good, and optimize it? when the very tempting solution is to throw it out and start all over again. But why? So much of it is good, and it takes someone who knows what they're doing to be able to handle that kind of problem. And we really felt like this was the exact solution we were looking for.
That's good to hear. So I wanted to ask you also, where did you hear about us? Why did you pick us for this project? Because I'm sure you had a lot of offerings on the table.
So I went on the Israeli automation Facebook group. I don't remember what it's called exactly, by Eyal Gershon. So there's a list of like all these different automation agencies, and I really had to pick the following. I had to first see professional. Who do they actually know the systems that we use? Because there's so many different automation systems. We particularly use Make, formerly Integromat, Zapier, and Airtable. So many people did not know those things, all three of them, because it wasn't just one or two. It had to be all three. Someone who had done similar work in the past on CRMs, someone who had done work with nonprofits in the past, someone had the flexibility for a project and also ongoing long-term operational work, and of course someone with really good communication skills. That is, I think, the last part probably is even the most important, because if we can't understand each other, then it's going to be very hard to even see that the work's actually happening and getting done. So those are really the criteria, the criterion of how I made that decision. The money it's not even a factor, because I need to get the work done and I need the right people to do it. And so basically, as I said previously, my previous automation specialist, she is one of the top people in the automation industry, and having someone fill in her shoes, it's a tall order, because she created the system in a way that is really, really smart. It's very, very strong, but if you're not an expert, you won't understand. And it makes sense to build it in a way that's not simple, but in a way that's smart. And it could take time for someone to come in and understand all of that. And what if they didn't understand it at the minimum level? What is the cost? What's the learning cost of that? How long is my organization going to need to wait until they catch up to where she was? And what happens if I made the wrong choice? That means I need to go back to the market, check again, go through the process again, and find someone who meets those criteria, which were very hard to find in the first place. So that was the question. It didn't matter if it was you or if it was someone else who I started with. Those were my apprehensions beforehand. And what I did, and it was something that's not very common. I wanted to make sure that there was an overlap between your automation specialist and mine that was leaving, and make sure that really all the information transfers between the two of them. They still talk whenever there's some things some gaps that need to be closed, but currently your specialist knows pretty much all the things he needs to get his hands dirty, and knows whenever there are things that he needs to consult with her. So that way, like, none of the organizational knowledge is really lost. In spite of those concerns, again, those concerns are general. It's not you. But I guess, what's it called? I guess you you ticked all those boxes. And usually there's when you make decisions, there's the must have, the should have, the could have, but you hit all the must haves. And I said, yeah, let's get going. I also felt at ease. It's not just what's called the profession, it's not just the professionalism, it's also who you're doing business with. I don't want to have I don't like when I call someone calls me and I feel like pressured in my heart. I was like, no, I don't feel that when we talk. It just feels like a regular conversation. And that's also something that's very important. And I had calls with other automation agencies and that wasn't the same feeling. So I went with like Hushat Beten, like how you feel in your stomach. Is it a hunch? How do you feel about it? And I'm like, yeah, it seems good. So I think that was the final reason.
That's great. That's good to hear. So thank you very much for your time, Mikki. We're just about to finish. I just got one more question left for you. For anybody who's listening to this conversation, whether it's a business owner or a nonprofit, an agency, whatever, why should they advance to adding automations or a CRM or any kind of system to organize all of their data as soon as possible? Why should they not wait another second, another day, another month, another year, and just drag on those projects, whether it's a simple automation who can save a lot of precious time for the employees and the management, or it's a whole system that connects all of the points in the agency itself, in the business?
So it's a great question. I'll explain. Right now, we're in 2023. The advent of AI and automation if anything, it's actually just improving the human capability of what we can do. Like since the Industrial Revolution, we had machines. Even though they weren't automatic machines, it showed that, yeah, people are meant to do things that machines cannot. And it really is a shame on human capital, people who are so professional, to do repetitive tasks. Give the people the stuff that machines can't do. And a system, the right system for the right organization, depending on how tech savvy they are, combined with automations that can bring that system past what it's supposed to be doing and really minimize all the tough and heavy workload at a critical touch points with the customer, really can service a business in so many ways. It's an investment on many levels. One, in your human capital, and two, in the customer experience, making sure that things go fast, things go smooth, that you thought of every single situation possible, and you bring people in when it's a nuanced situation that a machine can't deal with. And I think that's something every business can benefit from.
That's great. Mikki, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the explanations. I'm sure it's going to bring a lot of value to anybody listening right now. One last thing before we go. If anybody wants to contact you or contact the nonprofit or reach out, I will leave your details below. But if you want to say something extra, because we always like to make connections between our clients, our partners, whoever needs help in any kind of field. And your nonprofit, the nonprofit that you work in, AppleSeeds, does a lot of great work in a lot of fields. So if you want to add a little bit more data so people can check it out.
So AppleSeeds is a wonderful organization that tries helping people get into high tech, especially those from underprivileged communities. So we'd love to collaborate on anything that could really help that target market, especially technologically. So yeah, we'd love if you could reach out. We'd love to jump on those collaborations and potential opportunities. That's perfect. Mikki, thank you so much. And anybody who needs help with automations, with CRM systems, you can always contact us. rise.co.il. I will put our contacts also down below, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye, Chami. Thank you so much.